Hello and welcome to what promises to be yet another thrilling instalment of action from Week 1 of Division 6 of the REL League. I am your host, Callisti Mayer, the Golden Apple of Discord. The first week of a new season is an exciting time as teams shake off the dust and get back into condition after a long off-season. Or they continue to rebuild their teams after the devastational or Greenhorn Cups. A new season means a new start for every team. The possibilities are endless. With teams will be their division's unstoppable behemoth, which will surprise everyone by beating the odds to pull off a series of cheeky wins. Which legends will die and which players will step into the spotlight to be adored and feared by the masses. In that first week, it's all a big unknown. Blink and you might miss the birth or tragic conclusions of one of the many epic storylines that emerges every season in the Rebel. One of the best and most defining aspects of the Rebel is the depth of community involvement and support that exists. It is a league almost entirely built on both the strength of our coaches and the community's involvement in creating a rich history and engaging storyline for each season. It is something that most other leagues simply don't offer, and if they do, it's not on the same level as the Rebel. With a committed team of sports reporters recapping every division each week, streaming a plethora of games, a weekly podcast, newspapers, artwork, and much, much more, all created regularly by coaches across our community. It is due to all of you that the Rebel is the largest and best private league in the world. With so much going on, I am going to be introducing a weekly segment to these recaps, giving you all the highlights of events and stories and new features that were unleashed in the last week. So never again do you have to sit in Discord chat wondering what the other members of the league are talking about. And coaches of Division 6, this highlight roundup is only for you. Well, actually, it's technically for anyone that views this video. But as I was making it, I was thinking only of you. All 11 of you. Rod is dead. Last season I had the dubious pleasure of sharing Division 3 with the high-profile and infamous coach Rumblebee and his Necro team Howl at the Moon. Now, the star players on most, if not all, Necro teams are werewolves, and Howl at the Moon had featured a very dynamic duo in Luke Thigh-Walker, a Strength 4 Blodge Wolf, and Rod Longstaff, the team's Clawpom Killer. Rod was level 6 at the beginning of Season 7, and despite Division 3's best efforts by season's end, REL had yet another Legend Wolf. Not to understate his importance to the team, Howl at the Moon was built around Rod. So much so that in the last game of the regular season, he was playing me and failed to commit Rod to anything close to risky. Because, as we all know, irony is a bitch. And if your legendary killer is going to die, it's going to be in the last game before playoffs to a very weak and puny rat team without any claw. However, Rod lived to see the playoffs. He lived through Howl at the Moon's playoff run. Howl at the Moon moved to Division 1 for Season 8. And for Rumblebee, there was much rejoicing. But it seems Nuffle's sixth sense of irony is far, far worse than any of us could ever have conceived. The first match of Season 8 for Howl at the Moon was battling the infamous Animal Farm, coached by Sace. This is the Animal Farm that killed Huge Jackman. So we should have all first seen the omens of impending doom long before both teams laced up and took to the pitch. First blitz of that match, maybe even the first action of the game, Animal Farm's killer, Mr. Whimper, immediately charged Rod and delivered a clawed uppercut that instantly decapitated the ill-fortuned wolf. There was nothing his fabled powers of regeneration could do to stave off having his head cleanly removed from his body. So, Vod Longstaff's career in Division 1 lasted all of 5 seconds. Now that's so tragic, it's almost poetic. The bounty board is back. For those of you not in the know, the bounty board is the perfect venue to settle old scores, remove those scary and obscene players that you are going to be playing soon, or just to add some flavour to your division. I, for one, used it a lot, as last season and this one I will be placing about 70 plus bounties on the players in my division. Usually the bounty is a kill or retire ex-player and receive a certain dollar amount, Steam gift card or a donation to Rebel. But the reward can be literally anything you want. There are a few unofficial rules, guidelines I'd like to suggest when using the bounty board. Firstly, it's meant to be a fun side thing, just to add some flavour to the season. So try not to make it personal or make any other coaches that you're bountying feel bullied or victimised. As a sort of example, when I place my swathe of bounties, I try to make it very clear in Discord that I am just bountying every team indiscriminately, good players and bad, because my rats are so weak that they need to enlist the beefier teams to all kill each other off. Otherwise, how else will my puny but sneaky rats ever survive, much less win? I also make it clear that in the 5 to 8 players on every team I bounty, that each coach gets to pick one of their players I cannot bounty, because whether you're a sappy pixel hugger or a cold-hearted coach that would happily send his star player to his death if it meant the win, everyone has that one player that they will be just a little bit salty about you losing. You can place bounties under whatever pretext you like, but my advice is just to be aware of how you're pitching it, and so make sure that it's a fun thing for everyone concerned. Second piece of advice is that, it's what goes around comes around. If you're placing bounties, don't be surprised if you get bounties placed on your team in return. And referring to my piece of advice number 1, don't be salty about it. It's all part of the game. And finally, my final piece of advice is place as many bounties as you can afford to lose. Just like when you go to a casino, the money you take onto the casino floor to play with is no longer yours. Well, it's the same for bounties. Expect it all to be claimed. It likely won't be, but assume it is going to be. So only place bounties you can afford to lose. Once that money's been placed on the bounty, just consider it gone. Further increasing the volume of supplementary materials we offer to the coaches, we now have a Rebel Wiki. If you go to the Rebel subreddit, you will see the Rebel Wiki that Metal and Haringzord have been working on has now been released. If you ever wanted to know the long and sordid history of Hugh Jackman, what all of our one-day tournaments are about, who the heck Jerry was, and all the unique Rebel memes came from, the Rebel Wiki will have the answers at some point. And this is where we look to you for help. Rebel is pretty darn big. We have over 300 coaches, 7 seasons played, a multitude of one-day tourneys, and more stories and history than Metal and Haringzord could ever write in their lifetimes. Well, maybe they could write it all in their lifetimes, but they just don't want to. So please, help us flesh out the wiki. You are able to go in and create articles, whether it's about your team or an infamous story that you were a part of. Go ahead, create an article for it, and be part of the creation of the Rebel legend. And most of all, have fun. Okay, so moving on to you guys, because that's what you're tuned in for. We had week 1. It was a great week. I have been recording all of your games. It's recording the replays. I haven't been able to watch many of the games live, and I'm recording them to watch them, but also I really want to sort of get some quality material, some plays for you guys to make your hype videos. That's still a go for me. Still planning on making, my aim is to make hype videos for all of you. I've even been selecting music that I think is appropriate for each team. Mutants in humans clothing, the farm animals, yeah, a few other teams. I've already have your music selected. It's some fun music. There's some good music there. Fair warning, it's not going to be the most thrashy music. There's some rock. There's some silly stuff. There's all kinds of different music. I've got quite eclectic music taste. So hopefully it's all going to be appropriate and it's all going to bring a smile to your faces. But yeah, don't expect sort of heavy thrash metal. Rah, I'm going to kill you, because that's not me. So it's going to be fun music. And speaking of which, if you have a preference for a musical style you want to have on your hype video, just shoot me a Discord message or a PM or something. Just let me know, and I'll consider it. The farm animals, though, your music's set. I have the perfect piece for you, and so that's it. You're done. There is no changing the music I've selected for you. But anyway, yeah, aiming to do hype videos for all of you. They're going to be sort of a 1 to 2 minute long segments. It's going to be a sort of accumulation of your great plays and injuries and deaths from the season. Should be good. So I'm collecting all the materials now. So make your games good. Have lots of fun stuff happening in your games. The more fun stuff you do, the better your hype videos are going to be. If I run out of time for the hype videos, I'm going to do a really big video, one video for the entire division, and then it will be just introducing each team. But that's if I sort of find myself without any time to commit to doing a hype video for you all. There's 11 of you, so and a hype video I would say would probably take about a day to make, a good one. So that's 11 extra days I've got to find from somewhere. So we'll see if we can do it. If not, it'll be one big division video, and it will be whichever way it is, it'll be a doozy, and I'm sure you'll all be really happy with it. Okay, anyway, moving on to what you actually did in week 1. So let's take a quick look. And you've actually got 2 games already played in week 2. We'll cover those next week. So we had the Rottingham. Oh no, that's a bye week. Oh yeah, you're the division with like 3 bye weeks. Sorry about that. But anyway, yeah. So we have a few games been played in week 1. So we had the Mutants in Human Clothing versus the Fogmire Fen Beasts. And this was a 2-0 win. It was actually quite a good game. I watched it, and I thought both coaches played really well. Let's have a look at the tail of the stats, tail of the tape. So Mutants in Human Clothing had much higher ball possession. There was no passing game. It's Lizards versus Underworld. I mean, Underworld does have a bit of a passing game, but not really. The Fogmire Fen Beasts were definitely out for blood. They had 46 blocks succeeded, which is pretty cool. Mutants in Humans Clothing were obviously doing the golden rules of dodgeball, and just getting the heck out of there, which is probably a wise move. And then we had 2 KOs, 2 injuries for the Mutants, and then wow, nice, 5 and 4 and 1 kill for the Lizard Band team. But I must say, after watching the match and looking at these stats, I will definitely say that the Mutants in Human Clothing definitely had control of the game. It was definitely it was a tactical game. It was getting out of the way of the Lizardman team, but there was definitely a good amount of control that Spoony Bard had with the win in this game. So good win for him, and I'm sure he's going to go on to do great things. I'm sure the Fogmire Fenbeasts are going to go on to do great things as well. Good matchup, that one. Then we had... Oh, nope, this is day 2. Maximum Ogre Kill versus Ars Gotia. I actually watched this one last night, so it's actually quite fresh for me. Holy casualties! So Ars Gotia, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Ars Gotia definitely had an agenda. They were out to get rid of those snotlings, which they did, which gave them a nice numbers advantage. They were definitely not up for going toe-to-toe with the ogres initially. They got a good score, and then they just carried on pressing this numbers advantage, making the ogres do some crazy rolls, some crazy plays, and then late in the second half, the ogres were down to like 1 or 2 snotlings or noblars, and still had like almost a full complement of ogres, I think. But they decided to lend the 1 or 2. No, I think it was one noblar to an ogre block as an assist to an ogre block, and it's their drive. And they just tried picking up with one of the ogres. That was probably the one play that I wasn't really sure on. I don't know, like maybe Randomus Maximus, I think that's the coach name, was just giving up at that point. He sort of realised that, hey, I'm probably not going to win this, so I might as well just have some fun. Or whether it was like a valid tactic to try and get the ogre ball carrier and then just march up the field, bashing everyone out of the way. But yeah, he added the Noblar to an ogre block assist, and then next turn that last remaining Noblar got casualtied or knocked out. And so he was just down to like 4 ogres at that point. And then he started getting a lot of casualties as well, like all beastmen, and then but Ars Gotia had the numbers advantage, and they just kept on pressing it, and they were relentless. It was really good play by both teams. Apart from that one thing I noticed with the Noblar lending an assist, I thought it was a really good match. I really liked a lot of the plays. I loved the strategy that Ars Gotia had. I thought it was he went in there with a plan. It's a pretty obvious plan, but went in there with a plan and kept on pressing it and kept on pressing that numbers advantage. And yeah, but I think by the end of the match there was like 1 or 2 ogres left, and there was like only a handful of chaos left. All of the Chaos Warriors were there, and I think there was like a few goats maybe. It was definitely a fun match. So anyway, great win for Ars Gotia and Zizeta. And then we're still on day 2. It's going to get irritating. Okay. And then we had the Farm Animals versus You Worship Chaos. So this was Chaos versus Norse. And yeah, this was a thing. I actually haven't watched the replay for this one yet. But I was kind of predicting that the Norse were going to win this one. I know Gazgol, I know he's a great coach. I also know the farm animals. I was covering them last season. But I would have tipped Norse to win this one. But they got beat. I am going to watch the replay for this one. I haven't watched it yet. I did notice that the farm animals did have a death. Hopefully nobody too critical. So let's have a look at the stats. We had 50% possession for the farm animals and 31% for You Worship Chaos. And this is a little bit of a conflicting tale. You have 50% possession for the Chaos team, only 31% for You Worship Chaos. Both had one pass and a successful pass and catch. The block numbers were about the same. But the Norse team actually did better with the injury game. So the farm animals were probably down numbers, but they still managed to win. So they must have a good passing, running, sort of ball handling game going for him that allowed him to get the win. So yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a really interesting match. I'm definitely going to have to check that one out. And then did we have anybody else? Yes, we did. Lizard Beasts versus Gambas Gals. And this was a 1-0 win for the Lizard Beasts over the Amazon team. And we had actually quite a low number of armor breaks, but expulsion on each side. Just the one score. The Lizards had much higher possession, exactly the same number of blocks. The Lizards managed to knock out 3 of the other team, but they got no injuries. Whereas the Amazon team managed to injure 2 of the Lizardman team. So I'm imagining that was probably skinks. Let's take a look. Well, actually, we'll probably take a look in a minute when we go through team review. The rest of the games were all bye weeks. So we had the Rodding Rockers getting the admin win for their bye week game. We had Raskin Bobbins, another Nurgle team, getting exactly the same. And then we had the Ulthuan Sea Serpents, the High Elf team, getting another bye week admin win. So if we take a quick look at the leaderboard, let's take a look at who's played in week 2 to give you an accurate idea about how people are doing. So You Worship Chaos, they won 1. The Norse team, they won 1 and lost 1. So, but the one they won was this week. So we're going to discount their win right now because we're just looking at the week 1 standings. And then ours go to you again, 1 again. So they're going to be at the top of the table, but we have Arsgotia, we have the Ulthuan Sea Serpents, Raskin Bobbins, Mutants in Humans Clothing, Farm Animals, the Rottingham Rockers. Wow, there's a lot of U1 games. The Lizard Beasts, all winners in week 1. And then week 2, it looks like we've got Arsgotia sort of setting an early lead, but can easily be caught by the rest of the teams. Because we're at early stages yet, you're going to find that there's nobody sort of jumping out ahead of the crowd, and you're going to have a lot of people on the sort of level pegging. So let's take a quick look at a few of the teams. Now, what I'm going to do is each week I'm going to sort of have an in-depth look at a few of the teams, see how they're developing. There's 11 of you, so I'm thinking I'm going to do sort of 2 or 3 teams each week, and that should give you sort of 2 or 3 weeks where your team's covered in depth. So let's just do this in order it I see it on the screen. So we're going to do lizard beasts first. So we have Godzilla the Croxagore on 0 SPP. Has he even played any games? Is he brand new? Yeah. So that must have been the death you had, Kiwi Bird. So brand new Croxagore, yet to prove himself on the field of valor. We have Tenk of Dawn. Oh, is this the one where I was having such problems naming people, saying the same players' names? It is. Oh, you got this new play piece, and you listened to my podcast and my last week's recap, and you are naming players. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so we have Tenk of Dawn, who is probably one of the more formidable Saurus on this team. He has an armor bust, but the good stuff is that he has block, he has guard, and he has break tackle. So this is going to be a good safety piece. Definitely want to probably get tackle or mighty blow when you're next level. That would be good. Then you can have him as I said as a safety piece. Oh, we have the two Saurus that haven't leveled yet. We have one with block and mighty blow. Definitely, I would go for guard. Maybe some stand. Well, go for guard definitely next, and then some stand firm after that, or tackle. If you're gonna make him your killer piece, maybe we make this one a safety, and get sort of tackle as your next level. Get this one, give this one tackle as well, and guard. Block guard Saurus is always a good thing. Having them all block guard is going to be a nightmare for other teams. I can see you setting this one up as your sort of killer piece, the bit that's going to go out and get the injuries. And tackle is also a good choice, but you can't put down guard as a wasted choice. It's always going to be a great choice for these pieces. We have Zlotl with block. He's close to leveling as well, so definitely I would go guard or maybe mighty blow. Both are solid choices. If you were listening to this week's podcast, Rebel Alliance podcast, we're talking about how much mighty blow is too much, and then Metal said something along the lines of he always goes one mighty blow piece first and then two guard, and then he never has more mighty blow than he has guard on his bashy teams. So maybe that might be a good system for you too. So maybe I would go guard on that Zlotl piece, and then mighty blow or whatever you want after that. And then we have Tenklashi, who has sneaky gits. We have Oi of Hlanhupek with your sidestepping, sprinting, sure hands piece. That's interesting. You went sure hands rather than block. I get it. I like it. Although there will be a lot of people that will be like, oh, didn't go block? Blodge piece is amazing. Or wrestle. But no, I like it. I like where you're going with it. It's always good to have a sure hands piece. Because I swear lizards are cursed. Most skinks may be agility 3, but I've had entire games where they've failed to pick up the ball. So yeah, short hands would have been an amazing skill choice at that point. Kermit is still no SVP. Didn't pick up any in the last game. We have Uldates. Your agility up, sidestepping, sprint, sure feet, catching skink. So this is definitely your wide receiver, your star player, your trick in the box. It's definitely the skink that people don't see coming, or maybe they do and they just can't catch up to it. Then we have Gex Jr., who is a blodge piece. That's nice. Moving up, sprint. So this is your one turner, almost. Just need to get sidestep or one push, and it's a one turner. So that's nice. What's not as nice is being Lizardman team with a one turner, because you don't have the agility 4, so that handoff catches action is always going to be a scary thing. Not to mention the pushes, and then the going for it's dodging through tackle zones. So one turns, they are possible for you, but they're not. They're never going to be a fun experience. They're never going to be a confident experience, is my thinking. We have backup skink, who is a backup now. He is. You are at 12 players, so yeah, he's a backup. He's living up to his name. 3 team rerolls, 1 apothecary, 50k in the bank, 1640 team value. That's nice, mid-range. So you're going to be getting some inducements for some games, giving up some inducements for others. I like where this team is headed. Just needs some more development on Yosaurus. And yeah, definitely some more development on Yosaurus. And then whenever you get Godzilla to level up, I think another guard piece would be a good choice. Another team, You Worship Chaos. This is Gazgul's team. No stranger to Norse is Gazgul. I think he won like a one-day tournament with Norse. He probably played them to death in REL. So I'm sure he is a very, very competent Norse coach. So we have no suspicious mutations with your block. Wow, that's nice. Block, mighty blow. So it's now a claw, mighty blow piece, and break tackle. So this is definitely going to be a piece to look out for on the pitch. We have the 2 Ulfs with block, and one of them with guard. That's nice. A nice mini wall. I like how you've gone for block, which makes a lot of sense. I often see a lot of Ulfs with mighty blow first, and they're going to be the main killing pieces. But I don't think they're really designed for that. They have a bit more armor than the rest of the team, so I think they're better suited for being surfing pieces, definitely, but also for just soaking up those hits and getting in the way. And having guard means that you can put them in a position and just leave them there, and they're not as likely to be knocked down. Yeah, good choice. We have Frenzied Lovin', who's out. He got movement busted. I'm not sure if that's what he's suffering from right now. Yeah. Oh, no. Maybe it's a pinched nerve. I'm not sure. Anyway, he's movement busted. He has Mighty Blow and Piling On. So here we go. Here's a pom piece. And this is what Berserkers should be. They should be going out there and getting your main sort of casualty providers. I mean, with that Yeti, you've got another one, probably a more impressive one, but definitely these are your staples, these are your mainstays, these are your pieces you're going to be relying on. Not sure how I feel about Frenzied Lovin' having a movement bust. That's got to suck. but on the other hand, it's a Pompey, so it's going to get lots of levels very quickly. You've got another new one, so I would imagine one died recently. This may be the last game. Let's have a look. Yes. So this is a new Berserker to the team. Then we have Headbutts for Sigmar, who's a kick lineman, who was again movement busted. And then we have Does Little Puppet Shows, that's a great name, who is a dirty player. We have a lot of fresh linemen, haven't leveled yet, and then we have one runner who snuck in there at the bottom. And he's actually, yes, he's your most leveled player. And he's at 68 of 76 SPP, and he's an agility 4 runner with blodge and sure hands and tackle. So this is definitely going to be a safety, it's going to be a ball carrier, and again, another little surprise for teams. I'm sure you're going to be doing a lot with him. And I like that he has tackle, so he can be sort of like a safety. He has a dual purpose. You know, he's your ball carrier on your offensive drive, and then he's your strong safety on your when you're defending. Good, nice team. I like it. And also, sorry, I just noticed that it's very low TV as well for what you have. Norse are kind of known for that, but I really like that. You've got a really effective team here, but it has low TV, so you're going to be getting inducements. I mean, when this Berserker comes back, you're going to be at 1500, so it's not that low. But yeah, no, this is a nice and effective team. I like it. And then Arsgotia. Okay. So Zizeta is definitely making a run to be the champ of the division. Some of the feedback that came back from Zizeta was well, the only feedback that came out from Zizeta after my last episode was, why didn't you pick me? Maybe not in as many words, but definitely this is a coach with a lot of expectations on how his season is going to go, and he's not aiming for anything less than first place and going into the playoffs. Winning the division, going through to the playoffs. This is definitely a coach that is confident in his team and in his abilities. And so far, he's proving himself right and proving me wrong for not picking him as one of my predictions. Team motto is, I made a deal with the devil to win. And this is a good team. So we have the 4 Chaos Warriors. 3 of them have block, 1 of them has blodge, 1 of them has guard. The one that doesn't have block has Mighty Blow and Claw, so this is one of your killer pieces. And they're all relatively far away from leveling, but I would definitely think about getting Beleth block. I think it's a good skill to have. He's maybe a killer piece. You may not be thinking that you might need block, but 1 in 36 is happen, and I know it's just effective to make sure that your big beefy line of Chaos Warriors aren't going to screw the pooch and let you down. We have Ipos, the other killer on this team, who is Clawpom with block. And you're kind of close to leveling as well, like a few games with good SPP gain, and you're going to be leveling again. And I wouldn't be surprised to see tackle. In fact, that's probably the best choice you can go for, because you do need some tackle on this team. I know you have 1 here, but you need more. And then we have Fluoros, who is your ball carrier. He's an agility up and a sure hands piece. And yeah, I like him. He's good. Nice piece to have. Definitely going to do you well. But because he has that agility up, he has that sure hands, which is great for being a ball carrier and making sure that he picks up all the time. You've left him pretty defenseless, so anybody that's opportunistic and sees an opening is going to go after this piece with passion. And if they don't, they should be ashamed of themselves, because taking out this piece is going to cause you a lot of problems and it's going to ruin your day. So I would. We then have Vual with who's your guard piece, and then we have Kimaris, who's a tackle. We have one Astaroth, who's leveled up. We have Phoenix, who's out, and then we have a Belial, Belial and Rome. Again, these are all sort of names for the devil or demon names, all very keeping in with the theme of the team. This is a good team. We're going to be 1480 TV with one goat out, so 1540. If my math is good, yep, it is. 1540 TV. That's good. That's pretty much the same as a lot of the other teams in this division. You definitely have some strong pieces here. Ipos is definitely a strong killer piece. Beleth is going to develop into a nice killer piece too, although I would suggest getting block, and then I would suggest getting guard on all four pieces. Get Floros some defensive skills. You're close to leveling him, so get him block or dodge if you get lucky, for God's sake, because I can just see it now. As soon as somebody sees an opening, they are going to gun for this thing and make sure that it dies horribly. Other than that, great team. I mean, not other than that, this is a great team. I think there's some things that you want to be adding pronto to this team. And that covers sort of the coverage of my in-depth coverage of the teams. So next week it's going to be next week's video is going to be the week 2 action. I'm going to have a few more talking points at the beginning of the video for you. A little update on how the hype videos are coming along, and just giving you a play-by-play on what happened in week 2. Oh, and sorry, one last thing. Looking ahead to week 2. We actually have 2 games been played. So there's only 2 games left to be played. I'm going to make my predictions. So Raskin Bobbins versus the Lizard Beasts. Last season I was very impressed with Raskin Bobbins. First season Nurgle team, and Shira did really well to come in like 3rd or 4th in the division, which for first season Nurgle is pretty darn impressive. And it was one of those teams that I was watching and following, and I was impressed with them. So I'm going to give them the win for this, just because I think that good coach, nicely developed team. I'm not as familiar with the Lizard Beast, so I'm going to give it to Raskin Bobbins. Could well be wrong. I'm going to make this a 2-1 win for Raskin Bobbins. The Farm Animals versus Gambas Gals. I betted against the Farm Animals last week, and I betted with Gambas Gals last week, and I was wrong both times. So I'm going to say the Farm Animals this week. Yep, definitely. I'm going to go for the Farm Animals. The rest of the games are all bye-week games. And that's it. That's this week's episode in the can, so tune in next week. If you liked this video, give it a like, give it a follow, subscribe, whatever it is that you can do to let me know that you care. Do it. All right. Have a great week. Have a great week 2 matches. And I will see you next week.